What's going on, guys? I'm Jonathan Burnett, and today we're going to look at horror cinematography through the lens of my short film, The Bug. 2, 1, action. The cinematography of The Bug proved an interesting challenge because essentially we're creating two movies. We have the film within the film, which we call The Labyrinth, and we have the stuff with me in the office editing. We wanted both of these halves to feel cohesive, yet distinct enough so that the audience at a glance would know exactly where they are. Are they in the real world or are they in the movie? So we created two distinct visual languages for these two locations. We have the very stylized red of The Labyrinth. It's full of haze, full of drama. And then we have the more muted blues of the real world. Let's dive into the looks of The Labyrinth. Alyssa? We wanted the opening image to be striking. Not only did it need to grab the audience's attention right out of the gate, but it needed to be recognizable enough that when we revisit this location later on in the film, the audience knows exactly where they are. Because the film was starting in the middle of the action, we needed to create a sense of unease right from the get-go. So we went with the old horror classic, the flickering light. The flickering light bulb is a staple of horror cinematography, for good reason. It's chaos. You never know what's going to be lurking in the shadows, what that light is going to reveal. Now, it can be kind of a cliche, but because we're making a film within a film, it seemed like a good idea to lean into that trope. And the flickering light really just added a texture and visual interest to an otherwise fairly boring hallway.
Then you're gonna hit here and you're gonna look down this way.
We decided to film the stuff in the hallway with a 12mm lens because we really liked the distortion that that lens gave. It made the hallway feel much longer and narrower than it actually was. We lit the entirety of the Labyrinth with these Aputure MCRGB lights, and there's a lot of things that I really love about these lights. You're able to dial in the color and intensity to get the exact look that you're going for. So we went with a very saturated red to get that vibrant look of the Labyrinth. There's also plenty of effects on these lights, so the faulty light bulb was created through one of these guys. And they're small, portable, and they have a magnet on the back, so you can stick them wherever you want to create the most dramatic image you can. Like, they're just great to have on set. I'm not sponsored by Aputure, but they're really great lights. And here's the thing. I don't really care about lighting continuity.
Better looking shot than one that matches.
Put the lights wherever you need to create the most dramatic image possible, because the audience will probably not notice and probably won't care. So just create the best image you can. Don't worry about continuity. One of the most important visual elements of The Labyrinth is the haze. Now, haze is a gaffer's best friend because it makes everything look so much more dramatic. And we wanted to lean into that drama for our film within a film. But more importantly, the haze allows us to create a beam of light with Alyssa's flashlight so the audience can track where she's looking as she navigates the space.
Hello! You've got to listen to me. It's coming to get you. There's a bug in the program.
Cinematography is an interesting thing because it's reliant on a lot of other factors. You need a good location, you need good production design, you need good costume design, and in our case, and a lot of horror movies, you need good creature design. So the design of the bug was very important to us.
Out the other eye.
We wanted glowing eyes and wings to create a really strong silhouette. The eyes were made out of Christmas ornaments that we painted and placed on the mask. The wings we ordered online, but the problem was when they came in, we realized they were just a bit too narrow, and it really muddled that silhouette. More like that. So we actually broke them apart and extended them out so they would fall in line more with the shoulders, and this really helped. It created a lot of negative space between the mask and the wings so that it would read in the darkness and really pop.
This does not look very. They promised gel.
One of the key plot points in the film is that the edit is continually changing. So as Alyssa is stabbed by the bug, those wounds remain there even when the film is rewound to earlier scenes, which meant that we had to film each setup 3 times. One time with Alyssa in a clean shirt, one time with a bloody shirt, and one time with a very bloody shirt. And we decided the most efficient way to tackle this was just to have Alyssa do a lot of costume changes and keep the camera set up the same. So thanks, Alyssa.
Not have anyone besmirch our blood in this movie.
No blood besmirching.
The rest of the film takes place here, in this office, on a rainy night. Now, the rain was an important detail that I wanted to capture, so we actually came out here one night when it was raining to see if we can get some shots. Now, unfortunately, the rain didn't read in any of these shots, because for rain to read on camera, you need a lot of it, and it needs to be backlit. Like, it's raining right now, and you probably didn't know that.
Pull back, you turn.
So all the rain you see was actually added in post. But what the rain did provide was wet ground. And the wet pavement is really the glue that ties together the fake rain with the real rain. Because if the pavement is dry, it looks fake. So it was really a good idea to come out here to shoot that night.
2A, take 1.
For the sequence of me editing the footage, we used 2 cameras, which is not something I typically do, but we knew the sequence was going to be very cutty and there was a lot of reaction shots that we needed to get. So the most efficient way was to use 2 cameras. So we had a profile camera and the front-facing camera. And we just played the scene and got a ton of coverage for those moments.
Okay. I don't think you're losing your mind or nothing. Not for that reason.
Then we moved the cameras behind me, got a wide shot of the computer and a tighter shot of the computer, and we played the scenes again. Now, it's important to note that we actually filmed all the stuff in the Labyrinth a week before filming the stuff in the office, so that I didn't have to do screen replacements. I had all the footage on the computer in the edit ready to go. So I saved myself a lot of time in post by scheduling the movie in that way. Darkness is essential to horror, but how dark is too dark? It's an interesting balance to find because you don't want it to be too dark that you lose out on detail, but you don't want to give away the mystery of what could be hiding in those shadows. So for our office at night, we actually used quite a bit of light. We had a lot of those aperture lights hidden throughout, and sometimes we didn't even bother to hide them. We put them in the windows to simulate moonlight, and then in post, I removed them. We got a clean plate, and I was able to paint those lights out so that you can see the effect of the lights, but not the actual lights. I mentioned previously about creating a strong silhouette and also not caring about lighting continuity, and this is a perfect example. There has never been a light back here, and yet we put a light here for this shot to make the bug pop off the background, to make that silhouette really read and make the wings glow red. Without it, the shot would be lifeless, but with it, it makes it pop.
Turn.
Does it make sense that there's a light back there? Realistically, no, but practically, yes, because again, makes the bug look great, so I'm all for that. The audience doesn't pick up on it, and it makes the shot look so much cooler. And that brings us to the ending. For the ending, I wanted to create a climactic oner. Now, a oner is a great tool because it really immerses the audience in the drama of what's happening moment to moment and can really ratchet up the suspense because you're not cheating by cutting to different shots. It's all happening in real time. Of course, there's actually a lot of cheating, and this is in fact how we cheated to make this oner work.
Alyssa?
And full disclosure, this is actually our second attempt at a climactic oner because the first time, well, it wasn't very climactic. There's a lot of reasons why this first attempt didn't exactly work, but one of those reasons is compositional variety. And I think it's important when you're creating a oner to have a lot of variety in your compositions, because otherwise it can kind of feel stale. So in this one shot, we have a wide shot, we're moving into a medium shot, into a close-up, back to a medium shot, and it feels alive, like you're doing a lot of the coverage, but all in one fluid master. So to pull this oner off, we use the basement's geography to our advantage. Now I have a very important role during this whole thing. I get to lie there dead and hope that it all works out. So Sean is actually the one that is calling the shots in this scene. So he cues Alyssa.
Action, Alyssa.
And then when he gets to the right composition, cues Danny to come out.
Danny.
Then pushes into a close-up of Alyssa.
Danny's gone.
He tells Danny that he's clear, and then Danny runs through the basement to get to his final mark. And during this interim, Alyssa is just carrying us over through her performance. When Danny's set, Sean says, okay, Alyssa resolves herself, comes around, and is then stabbed by Danny and meets her fate. It took us, admittedly, quite a few takes to get the pacing just right for this, but it was well worth it because it was a much more compelling and dynamic ending to the film than it was before.
That was the cameraman dying.
Horror is such a fun playground because it really puts the craft of filmmaking at the forefront, and cinematography is a huge part of that. Using all the tools you have available, lighting, composition, movement, to create suspense and terrify your audience, which is a really fun goal to aspire to as a filmmaker. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown of how we made our short film, and I hope you enjoyed this short as well. I've got a lot of really cool stuff coming, so stick around, and I'll see you next time.
This is how I used to light all my shorts, just like this. So turn the overheads on and be like, all right, time to go to work.